Alrighty. Thomas Rhett has released the first half of his brand new double album, Country Again Side A, and it's time to talk about it. Thomas Rhett is a country singer-songwriter from Georgia. In the beginning, he had minor hits like Make Me Wanna, but his career really took off with his smash single, Die a Happy Man. If I never get to see the northern lights, which was a pleasant acoustic ballad, essentially just a boyfriend country track, but much more appealing because it was like 4 years ahead of the tsunami. From there, Thomas just released hit after hit after hit and became one of, if not the biggest and most successful pop country artists. Over the years, his sound, general style, even the way he dressed began shifting more and more towards pop and the celebrity pop scene. He was the undeniable king of country music, but mostly because his output was incredibly poppy, so he had two empires of fan bases coming together, and translate that enormous fan base to a smaller genre like country, and you're gonna run the town. It always confused me why Thomas didn't just go pop. Take his 2019 album Centerpoint Road, which was a pop album with a few country songs mixed in. Not necessarily bad, but I struggled to see the ties to country. It almost felt like he was using the genre's title to amass media coverage, awards, success, etc. So because of that, I was never a massive fan of Thomas, but over the pandemic, he began releasing these acoustic videos of him and his guitar, just playing some unreleased songs, and it really gave me hope for his next chapter whenever that would arrive. And today, we stand with that next chapter at our fingertips in the way of Country Again Side A. On the whole, though this album didn't wow me, it did truly impress me. Country Again Side A does a great job of bringing out the best in Thomas, and I think that's because this album feels closer to home. It sounds natural, like the music he should be making, especially when you compare it to something like VHS from Centerpoint Road. Listening to Thomas's previous output, as it got poppier and poppier, there just seemed to be a larger and larger disconnect between him as a person and his music. But with this new record, I feel Thomas really closed that gap and produced a thoughtful, enjoyable, relatable country music record. The biggest and most obvious change can be found in the title. This album is country again. Not Willie Nelson country, but a fresh, modern approach to country music. It's very similar to Kanan Smith's record in the sense that it carries this rustic, worn-down quality, blended with some synthetic but tastefully textured percussion. I think I said it in my Kanan review, but this is what progressive country music should sound like in my opinion, embracing the technology of the present day while staying rooted in the genre's instrumental morals. One of the best examples of this rustic vibe I'm talking about can be found right in the opener, Want It Again, which from the day it was released has just found a place in my heart, and it's still one of my favorites on the record. The first minute and a half is strictly some bellowing acoustic picking with a flat or dead kick drum keeping rhythm. As it progresses, we get some brighter percussion, but it stays organic and is matched by some equally bright floating steel guitars. Pair that with a catchy melody and a simple but pleasing story, and you've got a darn good song. All over this record, Thomas explores a multitude of different traditional instruments and successfully incorporates them in modern ways. Look to the second track, Growing Up, which features an absolute earworm of an intro. I think Grady gave the proper title of the instrument, but I forget, so for simplicity's sake, it's got a super catchy mandolin intro, as well as just an incredibly catchy melody, and that's another thing I think this album did really well. The melodies get stuck in your head, whether that's for better or for worse, as you'll see later, but on the whole, there aren't many forgettable songs being offered. They all make their presence felt, and I think that's always something to applaud because it can be hard to do. Other instances of some great instrumentation can be specifically found on the closing two tracks, Blame It on a Back Road and You Heard, both tracks which are easily in the running for my favorite. Blame It on a Back Road features some fun banjo, which we don't really hear much outside of like uber traditional country or bluegrass music, and a fantastic amount of fiddles also in this song. It just has some great country energy. Often when mainstream artists want a song with energy, they naturally make it an EDM song, but Thomas gives it some fun 90s/2000s production that is just so nice to hear. It's also got an awesome snapback into the final chorus. The way everything cuts off into a clap and then crashes back into full swing is just awesome. But the showstopper for me was the harmonica on the closer, You Heard. Everything about that song rules. From the beautiful galloping brushed percussion to the sweet progressive sentiment. It has this folky energy, and that's just cool. To hear a folk-style country song on a Nashville record from an artist as big as Thomas is really encouraging to hear because folk is cool. More often than not, if it isn't pop country, it's rock country. So to hear some folk country from an artist like Thomas, I think it's really a treat. Of course, there are obvious and confusing production duds on here. Where We Grew Up, but most disappointingly, the Hardy feature put it on ice. Where We Grew Up simply confuses me because the whole idea of this record is that Thomas is returning to his country roots. It's about as conscious of a stylistic change as you can get. The title literally says it all. So with that in mind, where along the road did they decide it would be a good idea to lay a thick trap beat under one of the songs? I really just don't understand that decision, but as I said, the most disappointing moment was the Hardy feature, which sucks because I was really looking forward to this one. Obviously, Hardy is not where he is for his rootsy style, but I was expecting something a lot more clever and a lot less annoying. The hook of this track is so obnoxious, just put it on ice, put it on ice, put it on ice. In just about every way, this is a Hardy track. Not a good Hardy track, but a Hardy track. In no way, shape, or form does this song fit the record, and Thomas just feels super awkward on it. He's vocally completely outdone by Hardy, which is no slander to Thomas. I think he has an exceptional voice, but Hardy's is naturally heavier and works better on this style. Thomas, on the other hand, is barely treading water, gasping for air, trying to be heard on this one. And not only is it a production flop, but lyrically it does nothing for me, which sucks because it's a Hardy song, but that transitions nicely into the area of this record that I think's getting a little too much hate. The songwriting. Everyone seems to be crying about, oh, this album's too pandering, it's too simple, it's super overrated. And while I'm not denying there are some pandering moments, calm down a little, take a step back, and actually look at the track list. I'm not standing here saying this album has opened a black hole into a new dimension of songwriting we didn't previously know was possible, but this album is well written, it's simple, it's pleasing, it's approachable, and gets the job done in a satisfying manner. One of the factors I think makes the songwriting so satisfying is how appropriate it is. Thomas is married, he has kids, he's a grown man, so he's not out here singing about a very hot summer. These songs reflect his life. Thomas is writing about his surroundings. Look at tracks like To the Guys That Date My Girls, a track that he's performed live and has floated around for a while, but has finally found a home on this new record. Despite being slightly checklisty, it works. It's like how Some of It by Eric Church works. It works because Eric is talking to his kids and explaining all these little tips he's picked up on over his life. In the same way, Thomas is here talking to whatever guys end up dating his girl. Let's get one thing straight. When you pick him up, show up early. When you bring him home, don't be late. I also found the one line really funny where he says they better leave room for Jesus because if they cross that line, they're going to meet him. Maybe I'm dumb, but is this not a well-written, thoughtful song with a humorous twist? I don't see what's not to love. You can also look to the heart-wrenching ballad Heaven Right Now. If you read into it, it's essentially a song for Thomas's late friend who passed away right before he got married, and it's Thomas giving his friend an update about what's going on down here on Earth, and when he's done, asking what his friend is doing in heaven right now. Again, it's not the most intricate piece of poetry, but who said it had to be? Thomas just sat down and poured his heart into a song. It's far from what I would consider bland, so in my opinion, again, what's not to enjoy here? One criticism I heard from someone was that this album is too sunshine and rainbows, singing about how everything's perfect, and though this album is positive for the most part, what's wrong with that? If Thomas's life is going great right now, let his music reflect that. Just because he's not a meth addict or singing about situations that aren't happening in his life, doesn't mean there's no substance. And furthermore, couldn't you argue Heaven Right Now is that moment where Thomas opens up about some internal issues, the struggles of coping with loss? He just chooses to do it in an optimistic manner, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's like an acoustic Give Heaven Some Hell. I'm not trying to sit here and say this album is perfectly written, because as much as you get moments like Heaven Right Now, you get Put It On Ice, Where We Grew Up, or What's Your Country Song. I just thought this album was getting too much hate in the songwriting department, and I wanted to defend it a little because I enjoyed it. There's a difference between being simple and being bland, and this new record is simple. There are a few bland moments, obviously, but I would strongly hesitate from calling this a bland album. In this case, simplicity is its strength. It's back to Thomas's roots of country, and I really like it. Also, quickly, I want to add, I find it sort of strange how he references Eric Church twice on this album. On Heaven Right Now, he talks about Eric's song Sinners Like Me, and in Country again just generally references Eric Church. I think given the fact Heaven Right Now had a more specific and intentional reference, maybe he should have used a different name on Country again. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I just found it strange how he referenced a current artist like Eric twice on the same project. With all of that said, this album is a standard but very pleasing country record. Did it blow my boots off? No. but I think it's a fantastic step in the right direction for Thomas, and I'm eager to see where side B of this double album goes. I'd rather applaud him for actively and successfully moving in the right direction than hate on this thing for not being earth-shattering, because not many albums are earth-shattering. Just because a record didn't reinvent the wheel doesn't mean it can't be good. There's a place for pleasant, fun, simple country music, and that's exactly where Thomas went, and I got no problem with it. Again, I'm not painting this album as perfect, but I do want to defend it a little because I think it's getting pretty overhated already. Rating-wise, I'm going to give this one a strong 6. It did the job, and I cannot wait to see where Thomas goes from here, specifically with Side B, which I believe we were supposed to get sometime later this year. So, that's all I've got for you guys today. Be sure to comment below what you thought of this album. Like the video if you enjoyed. If you're new, maybe consider subscribing for more country music content. Links to both my Instagram and Discord are in the description below. And yeah, until next time, have a great day.